Have you ever stood in the middle of your living room, looking at a quiet house that used to be full of life, and suddenly felt like a stranger in your own world? It happens to so many of us after we lose a spouse. One day you are part of a pair, sharing morning coffee, swapping stories over dinner, falling asleep next to someone who knows you better than anyone. Then suddenly, half of your world is gone. And here's the part no one prepares you for: the decisions. Endless decisions. People tell you, you should sell the house, you need to invest, you must move on, you should give the grandkids some money, you need to start dating again. It comes from love, but it can feel like pressure. And when you're deep in grief, you might find yourself nodding yes to things that your heart isn't truly ready for. Let me share something with you. The path forward after such a loss is not about rushing to rebuild your life. It's about giving yourself the grace to heal, one gentle choice at a time. That's why this video is so important. If you're watching this today, please stay with me until the end. I promise you, this isn't just another list of don'ts. This is about protecting your heart, your peace, and your future. Because in the fog of grief, even one rushed decision can ripple through your life in ways you never expected. Let me take you back to a Sunday afternoon I spent with my Aunt Rose, in her little sunlit kitchen in Ohio. Aunt Rose had lost Uncle Jerry 6 months earlier after 53 years of marriage. As we sat sipping tea, she told me, "Everyone keeps telling me to sell the house. They say it's too big. But this house is where Jerry and I raised our boys. Every corner holds a memory. I'm just not ready." I held her hand and said, "Aunt Rose, don't let anyone rush your heart. The house will wait. Decisions can wait. You deserve time to breathe." And you know what? 2 years later, when she finally chose to move to a smaller place, it was her choice, made with clarity and peace, not regret. This is why the first thing I want to talk about is this: do not rush into big financial decisions too soon. After losing a spouse, it's natural to want to feel in control of something. That's why people sometimes start making big changes, selling homes, cashing out insurance, giving large gifts to family members, or making new investments. But grief clouds your thinking. Decisions made from a place of deep sorrow are rarely decisions you'll feel good about later. Take the story of Mr. Henry, a retired school principal I met at a grief support group in Chicago. Just 2 months after his wife passed, Henry sold their longtime home and invested most of the money in a startup pitched by an old friend. He said, "I just wanted to do something, anything, so I wouldn't feel stuck." Unfortunately, the investment failed, and Henry found himself not only grieving but financially strained. If only he had paused. Many experts and wise elders recommend what they call the 1-year rule. Wait at least 12 months before making any irreversible financial moves. In that year, your emotions will settle, your mind will begin to clear. You'll have time to seek advice from trusted people, perhaps a financial advisor, an attorney, or even just an experienced friend. And here's something else no one tells you: scammers know you're vulnerable. I've seen it happen too often. A widow or widower gets a phone call from someone offering an amazing opportunity, or a safe investment, or saying, "Your spouse wanted this for you." Please, when in doubt, do nothing. Hang up the phone. Step back. If a decision feels urgent, that is your signal to slow down. Nothing good comes from pressure. Remember, your spouse would want you to be protected, not rushed. Give yourself permission to take your time. The world can wait. There's a strange thing that happens when you lose a spouse. The world keeps spinning, but yours feels like it has stopped. In those early weeks and months, it's tempting to shut out the world. And that's okay at first. You need space to grieve, to cry when you need to sit with your memories. But there's a fine line between healthy solitude and harmful isolation. Let me tell you about Mr. Frank, a neighbor of mine back in North Carolina. Frank had been married to his beloved wife, Eleanor, for 49 years. They were inseparable, always at church together, gardening side by side, playing cards every Friday night with friends. When Eleanor passed, Frank retreated. At first, it made sense. He didn't want to face the church pew without her, or the empty seat at their card table. So, he stopped going, stopped answering calls, stopped opening the blinds. Weeks turned into months. One day I ran into his daughter. who looked so worried. She told me, "Dad barely eats. He won't leave the house. I don't know what to do." So, I decided to bake him some banana bread and pay him a visit. I'll never forget the look on Frank's face when he opened the door. Tired eyes, slumped shoulders. It was like the whole house had fallen under a gray cloud. We sat down, and after a long silence, he said, "I don't know how to be in this world without her." And that's when I told him something I want to tell you. You don't have to be alone in this world without them. Yes, grief is deeply personal. Yes, there are moments when you want nothing more than to sit quietly with your memories. That is natural, but total isolation is dangerous. You see, human beings, especially in our later years, need connection just as much as we need air and food. Without it, loneliness seeps in, slowly eroding your physical and emotional health. Scientific studies show that prolonged isolation increases the risk of heart disease, depression, cognitive decline, and even early mortality in older adults. But it doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't need to suddenly become a social butterfly. Start small, like Mr. Frank eventually did. After that first visit, I began stopping by weekly. Sometimes we'd talk, sometimes we'd just sit and watch the birds outside. Over time, his daughter encouraged him to attend the weekly senior center coffee mornings. The first time, he only stayed 15 minutes. The next week, 30. Then, one day, he stayed the whole morning and even told a joke that had everyone laughing. Was he over his grief? Of course not, but he was no longer carrying it entirely alone. Remember, staying connected doesn't mean forcing yourself to attend every event. It can be one phone call, one walk with a neighbor, one cup of coffee with an old friend, one visit to a grief support group where others understand what you're going through. You are not weak for needing people. You are wise for knowing that no one heals in a vacuum. If you're watching this right now and thinking, "But I'm not ready to be around others," that's okay. You don't have to be ready all at once. Just start with one connection, one moment. Your loved one would want you to live, not simply exist in silence. There's something we don't talk about enough after losing a spouse: how grief affects your body, not just your heart. When my Uncle Sam passed away, I saw it firsthand. Aunt Millie, who had always been so lively and full of spunk, suddenly stopped eating properly. Meals became a chore, sleep was restless, even simple things like getting out of bed felt overwhelming. This is something many people experience, but they rarely say it out loud. After a loss, you may tell yourself, "It doesn't matter if I eat today," or "I'll skip my checkup," or "I'm too tired to take that walk." I want to tell you this with all the love in my heart. Your life still matters. Your body still matters, and taking care of yourself isn't selfish. It's essential. Studies have shown that widowed individuals face significantly higher risks of heart disease, lowered immune function, and even memory issues. Grief, when left unchecked, takes a toll on the entire body. And here's something even more important. The one person who would have wanted you to take care of yourself is your spouse. They loved you too much to want you to fade away in sorrow. Let me share another story, this one about Ms. Caroline from my community in Seattle. Ms. Caroline lost her husband of 51 years. In the months that followed, she barely touched her old routines. No cooking, no doctor visits, no walking club. One afternoon, her granddaughter came over and noticed her fridge was nearly empty. "Grandma," she said gently, "you can't take care of anyone if you don't take care of yourself." Those words stuck with her. The next day, Ms. Caroline forced herself to prepare a simple vegetable soup. The next week, she scheduled her overdue checkup. Slowly, she returned to her walking group, first once a week, then more often. Months later, she told me, "I'm still grieving, but I feel stronger, and when I feel stronger, I can remember my husband with love, not just with tears." Friends, this is what I want for you too. Start small. Eat nourishing food, even if it's just a bowl of soup or a piece of fruit. Your body needs it. Drink plenty of water. Move your body, whether it's a short walk around the block or simple stretches in your living room. Most importantly, keep up with your medical care. I know it can feel like a burden, but skipping appointments can create bigger problems down the line. And please, don't hesitate to ask for help. Whether it's a family member, a friend, or a counselor. Having someone to support you can make all the difference. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to start. Because the best way to honor your loved one's memory is to keep living, not just surviving. They would want to see you strong, well, and able to find moments of peace and even joy again. There's a moment that comes after losing a spouse that few people warn you about. The silence. Not the kind of silence that feels peaceful. The kind that echoes through an empty house at night. The kind that makes the clock seem louder. The kind that makes dinner feel lonelier. In those moments, the heart longs for connection, for someone to sit with, to talk to feel alive beside again. And here's the truth. That longing is natural. It's human. But it's also what makes this next part so tricky. The temptation to rush into a new relationship too soon. Let me tell you about George, a wonderful gentleman I met through my local YMCA. George lost his wife, Maria, after 48 years of marriage. They had built a beautiful life together, 2 kids, 4 grandkids, a little house with roses out front. After she passed, George was devastated. The first few months, he rarely left the house. But then, a well-meaning friend introduced him to someone new, a widow herself. They hit it off quickly. There was laughter again, company, distraction. But soon, George began feeling something he couldn't shake: guilt, confusion. He told me one afternoon, "I don't know if I'm with her because I truly love her, or because I can't stand the loneliness." That's the danger. When grief is still raw, it's hard to know if your heart is ready, or just aching to fill a void. And sadly, I've seen situations where people rush in too fast, only to find themselves more heartbroken when the new relationship doesn't work out. Worse yet, there are those out there who take advantage of widows and widowers in vulnerable moments, offering false love while secretly seeking money or control. So what should you do? First, give yourself permission to feel lonely. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human and that you loved deeply. Second, remember this. A healthy new relationship should come from a place of healing, not desperation. When you can enjoy your own company again, when your memories bring more smiles than tears, that's when you might be ready to welcome someone new, not before. And if someone new does come along, go slow. Let trusted friends and family meet them. Pay attention to how you feel, not just when you're with them, but when you're alone afterward. You should feel safe, respected, and free, not trapped, confused, or rushed. And please, don't let anyone pressure you with phrases like, "It's time to move on," or "You need someone." You alone will know when, and if, you're ready. Remember, your spouse's love for you wasn't about replacing them. It was about wanting you to live a full life. If a new chapter is meant to be, it will come naturally and with peace, not panic. There's one more thing I want to talk about today, something that touches us in ways no one else can fully understand. It's the things they left behind. A pair of shoes by the door, their favorite coffee mug in the cupboard, the sweater still carrying their scent. When you lose a spouse, even the smallest objects can feel sacred, like threads holding you to their presence. And here's the truth. It's okay to hold on to certain things. In fact, it can be comforting, but there comes a point when holding on to everything starts holding you back. Let me share a story about Ruth, a dear woman from my church community in Minnesota. Ruth lost her husband, Daniel, after 56 years together. For over a year, she left his shoes by the front door. His clothes hung untouched in the closet. His favorite armchair remained exactly as he had left it. She told me, "If I move anything, it'll feel like I'm saying goodbye all over again." I understood, but over time, Ruth began to notice something else. Every time she walked past the closet, a wave of sadness washed over her. The house felt frozen in time. And so did she. One afternoon, after a long talk with her daughter, Ruth decided to take a gentle step forward. She chose a few special items to keep close: a watch, a photo, a handwritten love letter. The rest, she either donated or gave to family members who would cherish them. And then she did something beautiful. She had a quilt made from some of Daniel's old shirts. Now, when she sits in her chair with that quilt, it feels like a warm embrace from the man she loved. Letting go doesn't mean letting go of love. It means making space to live with that love in a new way. So if you're facing a house full of memories, Here's my advice. Start small. Choose one drawer, one shelf, one box. Ask yourself, does this item bring me comfort, or does it weigh me down? And remember, there is no timeline. You are not on anyone else's schedule. Don't let anyone rush you. This is your journey. But when the time feels right, take that first step. Sometimes, transforming possessions into something new can be incredibly healing. I've seen people turn shirts into quilts, wedding rings into necklaces for grandchildren, love letters into framed art. And always remind yourself, you are not erasing their memory. You are honoring it in a way that allows your heart to keep living. Because here's the most important truth. The love you shared is not trapped in things. It lives in you, in your memories, your heart, your story. As long as you breathe, their love lives on. My dear friends, if you've stayed with me through this entire video, I want to say this from my heart. You are stronger than you know. Losing a spouse changes everything, your days, your routines, your hopes, even your sense of who you are. It is a grief that runs deep and touches every corner of life. But within that grief lies something beautiful, too. The love you shared. And that love does not end here. Every gentle choice you make moving forward, whether it's pausing before a big financial decision, picking up the phone to call a friend, cooking a nourishing meal, giving yourself space to grieve, or carefully letting go of possessions, every one of these choices honors the life you built together. Healing is not forgetting. Moving forward does not mean leaving them behind. It means carrying them with you, with wisdom and grace. Your spouse would want you to live, not simply exist. To find peace in your days. To laugh again, when laughter comes. To love again, when your heart is ready. So today, if you take one thing from this video, let it be this. You have permission to go slow, to feel what you feel, to take care of yourself with love. And remember, you do not have to walk this path alone. In fact, I would love to hear from you. Which part of this video spoke to your heart the most? Have you faced any of these challenges on your own journey? Please leave a comment below and share one small step you might take this week to support your own healing. Your story matters more than you know. And by sharing it, you may just inspire someone else who is walking this same difficult path. If this video touched your heart today, please consider giving it a like, subscribing to Vibrant Elders, and sharing it with a friend who might need it. Your support helps us continue creating videos that uplift, inform, and empower this wonderful community of ours. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your courage. And above all, thank you for continuing to live your life with strength, with wisdom, and with love. Until next time, my friends, take gentle care.